Hi, everybody. Welcome to my Facebook Live where I'm going to be answering that really big question. Do I need to believe in God to get sober? What that is spirituality? And this is something I get asked a lot, the God question. So I wanted to be able to answer that with you today. But before I do, please make sure that you download your free Soberful workbook. The link is in the description, where I explain all of my Soberful program, all of the 5 pillars of sustainable sobriety, and I'd really like you to have that. Plus, next week in my Soberful group, I'm going to do my first Zoom live call, which means if you're in my email list, you can be invited to that and we can interact with each other. So it's not just me talking like I am now and you putting a comment, we can actually talk to each other. So I'm going to be doing a free live Zoom session next week. We'll be doing some EFT in that, and we're going to be talking about whatever is troubling you in your sobriety and your recovery journey. So please sign up by getting the Soberful workbook so you can take part in that. So, okay, with that out of the way. So first of all, it's really easy to answer. Do I need to believe in God to get sober? The answer is, drum roll, no. No, you don't. You don't need to believe in God to get sober. It's totally fine. Let me explain why. The 3 most powerful words I believe that we have in the English language are the words mother, Father, and God. And it's because of the meanings that we attach to those words. They are very powerful words because of the meaning attached to them. And all of those 3 words are actually about connection and attachment. And if our experience with those titles is difficult or painful or abusive, it can really tarnish our view of what those words actually mean. So what I would ask you to do about the God word is, first of all, examine what it means to you and where did you acquire those meanings, because quite often in many respects they came from other people and other sources, and we never question if we believe them or whether we feel they are accurate or congruent for us. So that's really an aside, really, to just have you kind of think about what actually that whole God word means. So the whole thing about God and sobriety came from the 12-step fellowships. The 12-step program mentions God, and there is an assumption that you need to believe in God to be in the 12-step fellowships or to undertake the 12 steps, and that's all completely incorrect. So first of all, I just want to say about that is the 12-step program is one way to get sober. It's a great way and it's really effective, but it's only one way. There are many other ways to get sober, and I wrote a blog post about this, actually, if you check on my website, where I talk about all of the different ways and methods there are to get sober, and they need to have these 5 essential components. And if they have these 5 essential components, and you can read them on the blog post, then you're pretty much good. So there are many roads. The 12-step fellowships is just one way, but here's one of the big misconceptions about them. There's a belief, a misconception belief, that you have to believe in God to go to the 12-step fellowships or to undertake the program, and all of that is not true. A belief at the starting point in God is unnecessary, completely unnecessary. At the end, the way that the 12 steps work is at the end, the result of doing them, the undertaking of doing them, at the end, when you have finished all of them, is that you come to have a connection with God. And that is what resolves the alcohol problem. So this is why the meaning of the word is really, really important. Now, for me, I do have a belief, and for me, the meaning is that God is love. Anything else beyond that, I have difficulty with. I can only believe that word means God, means love to me. And that's entirely personal, and how you interpret that word is entirely personal to you. And the AA program does say that very strongly, that it's a completely personal interpretation. So you don't need to believe in God to stay sober, because there's many paths. You don't need to believe in God to go to the 12-step fellowships or to undertake the 12-step program. In fact, if you are a staunch card-carrying atheist, it's irrelevant to the outcome of the process. You just have to do those steps, and some change occurs with you, and it's a spiritual change. So let me talk about this, because this is all linked, and it's difficult to talk about them separately. So what is spirituality? So that's a very kind of confused with the word, oh, what is that? Means religion, right? And I'm not religious, and so I don't want any of that. I'm not religious, I'm not spiritual. So here's what spirituality actually means. It means spiritual. So very simply, just say you were in front of me right now and you dropped down dead. But hopefully that won't happen, but just imagine if you did. I could still touch your body. Like your body would still be there for a little while. But the essence of you, who you are, your thoughts, your dreams, your fears, your innermost being, your innermost self would be gone. That goes somewhere. And where it goes, who knows? Maybe it goes to heaven if you believe that. Maybe it just becomes organic. Your body becomes organic matter, and you just cease if you believe that. It's really irrelevant. But the most important thing is the part of you that's really you, it goes. That part of you I'm describing is your spirit, for want of a better word. It's the essence of you, your spirit. Spiritual. Does everyone understand that? Spirituality is just being good to your spirit. That's it. That's all spirituality is. It's really that simple. And again, being good to your spirit in a way that feels congruent to you, not in a way that has been forced on you from external sources or from the outside. And that is probably the hardest part of the whole process. I have a whole chapter about this in my book, Why You Drink and How to Stop. It's not a plug. I just wanted to read it because I was preparing for this and I was looking for material. So for me, this is how I explain it. Spirituality can be viewed as a way of having a healthy relationship with yourself, one that is based on self-love, self-esteem, and integrity. Addiction, alcoholism, can be seen as the opposite of this. Spirituality is about connection. That's what it's about, connection with who you really are, not the false self you became in your drinking. Alcoholism is defined by disconnection from self and everything and everyone around you. Spiritual growth is where the richness of life comes from. Growing, who you are inside and how you grow is essential. We are here to grow, and I talk about this a lot. It's a universal law of life. We are either growing or we are dying. And if we are dying on the inside. To grow, we have to really connect with our spirits and who we really are, and that's how we grow. So we are here to grow, but alcoholism prevents our internal growth. It just completely disconnects us from our real self, and our spirits can't grow. Spirituality is ultimately the only thing that will fill the hole in the soul that causes the pain, that fuels the drinking to numb the pain. Spirituality is a path that leads us to wholeness. It leads us to find self-love, self-esteem, and autonomy. So that's all spirituality is. And I find that when I work with people and I explain that to them, I don't think I've had anyone yet who says, no, that's not for me. I mean, that's all it is. It's very simple and basic level. But to get there, we really have to examine the words and the meanings that have created barriers to us really understanding what the word God could mean for us, but the word spirituality does mean. So spirituality is essential for recovery from addiction and alcoholism. And the reason for that is recovery from alcoholism and addiction, or problem drinking, whatever you want to call it, is an internal process, not an external fix. It's not something on the outside changing. It's something on the inside changing. And that's your spirit being allowed to grow and reconnect with who you really are. So, like for me personally, when I was in very early recovery, one of the things that I used to do was I used to like reading women's magazines, and I'd read several each week. And after a while, I just felt really uncomfortable about just what I was reading. You know, it's like, she's too thin and she's too fat, and I can't believe she did this. And I just thought, this is really, I don't like how women are presented and portrayed in these magazines. I'm going to stop reading them. And I did that because my spirit was telling me to. It was not congruent with me to be giving myself this food that was so toxic and so negative. So I stopped doing things that were bad for my spirit, and that just continued. You know, relationships that were based on growth and enriched me, I welcomed more of those into my life, and relationships that were toxic to me, I distanced myself from because they were not good for my spirit. You know, what I ate, drinking soda and eating too much sugar was not good for my spirit. So I had to change that. And it continues on and on and on. So when you're in this process, you'll find that you will, when you connect to yourself, and at first it's kind of a tentative, you know, scary, and kind of, some days you're connected, some days you're not. Your spirit will speak to you and will tell you that's not for you. That's not for you. But we can't hear it when we're in addiction and alcoholism because we're disconnected. So God is not essential to get sober. That's, if you come to a belief or a connection, that's way, 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 way down the road. And that's completely personal to you. To start, to embark, to even complete, it's unnecessary. But to understand spirituality is. So I just think this is a really important topic because people ask me about this all the time. And I have a ton of stuff on my blog. If you put in the search bar spirituality or any of that kind of stuff, where hopefully I can, if you read it, you'll understand it even more. But just know that this is an inside job, not an external one. And it's about reconnecting with who you really are. So thank you for listening. I'll be back very soon with some more Facebook Lives. You can message me with any questions you have, and I will answer them for you, and I will answer them in Facebook Lives if that's helpful to you as well. Don't forget to download the Soberful book, because then you can be invited to the Zoom call next week, where we'll be live and you'll be able to talk to me and ask me questions, and it's going to be great. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.